Welcome to today's live broadcast. Today is going to be part two from our first video that we did on Monday about how to lose the weight forever. And today, or on Monday, I guess I should say, I promised you guys that today we would do part two. And today's conversation would be scheduled or centered on the weight aspect and what it is that we actually need to connect the weight to that we are really saying that we want to lose. And so this is one of my favorite things to, I'm trying to get my headphones back. This is one of my favorite things to actually coach women on. And it's probably one of the most consistent things that I coach women on when I do my one-on-one coaching here in this community. And once we get to the actual what it is that we identify as the problem for ourselves with what it is we're trying to do with losing our weight, I can promise you weight loss becomes so simple and you will be able to keep the weight off forever. So I hope if you're needing to hear this today, this will connect for you. So this is what we went over on Monday, how to lose the weight forever. We talked about hunger hormones and how it is once we train our hunger hormones to work for us, then easy peasy being in a state of hungry. We also touched on know why it is you're eating and the emotional aspect of why it is we use food and how it is we use food in our life. We're going to concentrate on this mostly today. Hungry is where the magic happens. And when you actually do start feeling that sense of hunger and understanding what it means because you are in control and you understand your hunger hormones and you're thriving in that environment, that is actually when you have won the game with what it is you're trying to do with your weight loss. And then we have to also make sure that we understand that this is a consistent lifestyle that we are going to choose to live over time. And when consistency and time match up, that's when we actually can thrive in this environment. So the weight that we need to lose forever are the feelings that we have connected to weight, right? So the feelings that we have about ourselves or what weight has meant to us in our lifetime. So oftentimes those thoughts that we have or the conditioning that we have about what weight means are really the things that are keeping us from losing weight because we're not focusing on what it takes to actually make the weight loss happen. It's an emotional connection that we have, and there's no real reality to the actions that we're taking and the results that we're hoping to achieve from that. So the things that are actually weighing us down are fear, overwhelm, failure, past pains that we haven't dealt with, regret, shame, and perfectionism. We're striving for something to be perfect in an imperfect world. So we're striving for for a perfect body, or we're striving for the perfect meal plan, or we're striving for the perfect whatever. And we're on this endless search to find the perfect thing or be the perfect person or have the perfect body or be the perfect look for someone, and that's never going to happen. So we're constantly tripping over our search for perfection and we're never going to find it. And then we have these feelings associated with our attempt to lose the weight. And if you're not successful, then the feelings that you have associated to your efforts are always going to lead you back to a negative feeling. So we've got to really make sure that we're connecting those things so we understand what it takes to actually lose the weight forever. So oftentimes when we, especially women, approach weight, we approach the journey to losing weight from what I like to call the desperate place, right? I will do anything to lose the weight. But this isn't ever a statement that we actually really mean when we understand what the do anything it is. So it is that emotional response that we have in that desperate attempt to fix whatever the problem is that we think we have, but we don't really understand what the real problem is yet. So we say we'll do anything, but that's just because we don't understand what it's actually going to take to lose the weight. So it's an emotional reaction to something that really doesn't have any emotional connection. Emotions will always win over logic. And what we need to do to actually put our body in an advantageous state to lose weight is very logical, right? But because we're emotional creatures, we come at it with this type of approach, and this doesn't have any logic in it at all. So we have to go back to what the logical things are that we, as very logical people, know what to do when we're not in an emotional state of mind. So we always have to go back to logic, because emotions are temporary and logic will always stand the test of time. So if you want to lose weight forever or lose the weight forever, you always have to approach it from the logical standpoint, and then make sure that the emotional aspect of it is the work that you're also doing in your attempt to lose the weight. So what happens when we stop focusing on the weight in pounds? So the weight that we always feel like we need to lose is that weight that we see when we step on a scale, right? But all that really is our gravitational pull to the earth, right? It has no other meaning or purpose other than it's what's holding us down on earth. But we have connected so many emotional feelings and descriptions and associations to what that weight, when we see it on this scale, is saying about us as people, right? So we make that connection where there's emotion and there's no logic in that. So what happens when we stop focusing on weight in pounds and we start looking at it from a realistic standpoint of what it means in the number that we're weighing? When we heal, when we heal the thoughts we have about that weight and we start understanding what that means, that's when we start to lose the weight forever. So we need to think about how we heal ourselves emotionally so that we can feel and understand logically what's happening when we're in this attempt to lose the weight forever. So what happens when we connect feelings and food? And then we throw in that third component of what feelings and food end up resulting in. And a lot of times when we're doing it from this standpoint, it's a weight we can't lose. Feelings like sabotage, numbing, checking out, distracted, not worthy, disconnected, doubtful, desperate, hangry. Like, we use that feeling of hangry as our excuse to consume food in a desperate attempt to get rid of this feeling. And then avoidance and drugged out. So when we're connecting food and a feeling that's temporary, it is literally being used as a drug. It is a chemical reaction that our body undergoes when we use food in any of these type of emotional states. It is going to act as a drug, and it's going to change our emotional state and the chemistry that we have going on in our body. And it usually is a feeling of numbness. And that's what we're searching for when we're using food in the inappropriate way. So what are the feelings that we can expect to have if we're not using food to handle our feelings and our emotions? Energized, excited, hopeful, proud, connected to self. And this one is a big one because you're not incorporating a chemical reaction or a drugged out state to numb yourself. So when you use feelings or you associate feelings and you don't bring in food into the equation, you actually connect to yourself because you're not checking out or numbing out. We get a sense of calm. We're in control. We're thought-centered. We're empowered. And this is what we affectionately have coined here in this community as the energized sense of calm in an intentional fasted state. Fasted meaning without food. So for my women who are feeling beat up and scared and unsure and having that feeling running around in their head like they will do anything to lose the weight, I want you to pause and spend some time with yourself in that thought. And what does do anything mean? Because the reality is, if we get to the point where we're willing to do anything to lose the weight, then we would have already done the anything. Because again, losing weight is a very logical sequence of events. We just use food for the purpose in which it's intended, and we don't use it for all the other things that we typically use it for. And that is these descriptions that I listed here. So when you're stressed out, when you have a fight with your husband, when something didn't go well at work, when you get home and the kids are running amok, when something happened in your financial situation, when you're just not feeling your best and you turn to food, that's when food becomes problematic to us. So if we can recognize that, and we can make the connection between why it is we're using food and how we can put it in its place in a logical fashion to work for us in a non-emotional state, that's when we'll do anything to lose the weight. And in an energized sense of calm, when your body is empty and you're thriving off of what is already internally stored away in you, I promise you, you will find the freedom that you're hoping for and the weight will come off. If we're hyper focused on the weight, I promise you, it's like watching water boil or watching something in the microwave. It feels like it's taking forever. So let's concentrate on how we're feeling in that fasted state. How can we turn our thoughts and emotions into things that will empower us to be stronger when we're just with self, and that we're not going to turn to food to appease things or settle things or numb things or allow us the opportunity to check out and really give ourselves the opportunity to hit face on all the things that could be in our way from losing the weight forever. So I promise you, you can lose the weight forever. I promise you, you don't have to do anything to make it happen. There's very little that you have to do, and that's where the logic comes in. If you understand what the power of an intentional fasted state can do for you and your body, I promise you, you will be able to lose weight. And if you do this consistently over time, you will be able to lose the weight forever. I highly recommend also for any of you out there who might be feeling like this is a message that you need to hear, is to turn your attention away from nutrition, just temporarily, and really focus on some of the emotional healing that we need to do and some of the emotional framework that might need to take place in order for us to get to the place where we can actually do things without food. And once you figure that out and you really start healing from within, and you start feeling some things when it's just you in an empty and energized state, I promise you the healing that you will get from intermittent fasting will be the best healing that you will receive, and you will not even be concerned about the weight, because when you use words or feelings that you associate with yourself, like energized, calm, in control, thought-centered, empowered, hopeful, proud, and connected to yourself, the weight becomes irrelevant, because ultimately, this is what we're really hoping for. It's just not the problem that we think that we have, right? We think the problem that we have is losing weight, but the problem that we really have is that we're not feeling these things. And when you're feeling these things, every single day when you plant your feet on the ground and you look and feel your best and you're living your most authentic life, these are the things that will be the reward for you, and you won't ever want these feelings to go away. So I hope this message was the message that you needed to hear today. I promise you that if you can make this connection with you and maybe the life that you've been living as an adult woman today, with all of the things that we've been conditioned to believe, or all of the things that have been thrown at us that we think we should be doing, that we know are logically not the right things for us, that you can win the game on losing weight forever. And not only will you lose the weight, you'll heal your body internally, and you'll probably also heal a lot of maybe some of the things that are going on in your head and your heart as well. And that to me is the most important thing for sure. So thank you so much for listening today. Like I said, if this reaches one woman who needed to hear this message today, then I have done my job. And I love when I can connect with you guys and you say back to me, this is exactly what I needed to hear today. And for those of you who might be struggling with making these connections, this is really what we're focusing on in our Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. It's figuring food out for us in a logical way, taking the emotion of it away, taking the damaged part of it away, and really hitting it head on with an opened mind and a healing heart, so that we can in fact lose the weight forever. Thanks so much for checking in with me today. Do me a favor, leave me a comment in the comment section below so that I know you stopped by. And as always, always, if you need anything from me, always feel free to reach out. Make sure you get on our email list for our next course, which will be starting February 27th. This is the stuff we focus on in class so that you can finally feel free from the struggle of losing weight and you can lose it forever.